Hey everyone, it is Dr. Rashida L. Weaver. Let me show you my sparkly art. It's Dr. Rashida L. Weaver, and I'm back with another episode of the Social Entrepreneurship Show. All right, so today's episode will be called What's the Best Legal Structure for Your Organization? Now, social enterprises have many options actually for legal structure. You can choose a traditional legal structure, a nonprofit organization, or a specialized social enterprise legal structure. And we're still learning about social enterprise legal structures. But you could choose to be a sole proprietorship, a partnership, low profit, limited liability company. We also have a specialized social enterprise legal structure called a low profit limited liability company. I'm actually gonna get into just the social enterprise legal structures because there's a ton of information already about traditional legal structures, but when it comes to we have about five, we had like four, but one was like one was repealed. One legislation was repealed. And so I'll talk to you about the four current legal structures in the United States. It gets different countries also have different social enterprise legal structures. For example, the United Kingdom has the Community Interest Company. And so I don't want to get into, there's like 200 countries. So I'll just talk to you about the ones in the United States. That's the Benefit Corporation, the Social Purpose Corporation, the Limited Liability Company, so Benefit LLC, and the L3C, which is the Low Profit Limited Liability Company. And so all of the social enterprise legal structures, the goal behind them is so that you can run a for-profit business while also engaging in socially good activities because of the traditional for-profit. When you're in the beginning stages and you're just starting out and it's just you as a social entrepreneur, or maybe it's just you and a partner, maybe two partners, this isn't really as important because actually for over 40% of the social enterprises in my study of over 115 social enterprises, over 40% of them change their legal structure over time. So when you first start out, a lot of social entrepreneurs, as written in my book, Social Entrepreneurship, A Practical Introduction, the glare from the sun. A lot of social entrepreneurs will start with whatever funding structure they just know. Or sometimes, let's say if you're in college or graduate school, or you just happen to know somebody that is a social entrepreneurship expert or like has a great opportunity or something like that, a lot of them will choose to be under a structure that is supported by a local granting organization. But the most social entrepreneurs, though, don't know about, they're not even really aware of entrepreneurship as a field. And so they're using their own personal funds for things. And they just start out many will choose a nonprofit organization. But as time goes on, you learn more about the field, then that's when you'll see social entrepreneurs choosing social enterprise legal structures. And many of those people will also have come out of college programs because they will have been trained in looking for those specific kinds of laws. And so what all of these laws do is they require you to engage in some kind of social good. They allow you to do it. With a traditional for-profit company does not allow you to do that. You can do it and it could be considered charity, but it's not a mandatory part of a business. A business is really for the purpose of making money, but a social enterprise legal structure is for the purpose of doing good and making money. So that's where we get into the difference. Now, different laws allow you to do different things, right? So the L3C, you can get a certain percentage of your profit can be distributed to shareholders, whereas the majority of the revenue that they generate has to be like a nonprofit reinvested into the social enterprise. With a nonprofit, there is no profit. You might have a surplus, but you usually reinvest that into the organization. But with an L3C, you can take a profit. With a social purpose SPC, a social purpose corporation or benefit corporation or benefit LLC, you can take all the profits that you want And as long as you're doing some kind of social good. So for them, social good could be paying employees above average wages, allowing for a year of maternity leave. So it can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be like some kind of social good for a particular marginalized community. Like we see with many social entrepreneurs will target like uneducated women, people that have been formerly incarcerated and reintegrating them and supporting them as they rebuild their lives. But with a benefit corporation, a social purpose corporation, and a benefit LLC, all you have to do is do some kind of extraordinarily, and I say extraordinarily, not like big, but meaning different than the norm, right? So if the majority of companies in America won't necessarily support and fully fund a year of maternity leave. So if they're doing that, then that's socially good, which is it's a huge, tremendous good, but it may not necessarily look how you think it's going to look. Every social enterprise is different, and the beauty of these legal structures is that they allow you to literally design your social mission, right? And so a nonprofit organization, there's a lot of restrictions in regards to how, you know, like you have to pay a reasonable salary to the and that depends because a reasonable salary depending on how much you generate every year this can differ because like there are universities that are nonprofit organizations and they pay their presidents over $1 million a year, but like for small organizations, which most social enterprises are small organizations, you have to pay a reasonable salary. You have to redistribute anything that's a profit, which is really called a surplus, back into the organization. And you have to have your social mission related to your the way you generate revenue and the way that you are engaging in social good have to relate. You can't say like you're curing cancer and be selling pasta sauce unless like it has to be relatable. And so, but with a for-profit company, you can literally sell anything, obviously not something that's like detrimental to like the human well-being, but pretty much anything, furniture, whatever it is, and distribute a certain portion of your profits or revenue towards social good or not, right? Because if you have really great practices for your employees, then that could be your social mission right there, or the environment, right? You may have sustainable, a really good impact on your environment, and that can also be your social or environmental mission. And that would suffice, actually. And so let me think. I have my notes here. And so also something that's super important is that the role of context. And so one of the things I learned in my study was that there were a lot of nonprofits in distressed areas that had a for-profit social enterprise attached to them, right? So they're a nonprofit organization and they have a for-profit company, and that allowed them to capture revenue sources, revenue streams from different sources, right? So you have the nonprofits, so they can get grants and they can get donations, and then the for-profit can sell merchandise, services, subscriptions, and program fees, and they were able to also generate revenue from that sense because a lot of times in certain contexts, it may not necessarily be as easy as possible to just have a for-profit social enterprise and generate a ton of money that way. Like for example, Warby Parker, I noticed Warby Parker is a for-profit social enterprise. I believe they're a benefit corporation, and they tend to operate in expensive areas. Like they tend to operate in very like fashion forward, trendy cities and spaces and malls. Like there's one on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. It's like they're really nice areas where there's a lot of foot traffic and there's a wealth of people that are wealthy, right? A wealth of people and a wealth of funds available. And that's important to notice because for those organizations, for-profit sales are just very easy to operate in those areas. And so that's a really great business strategy for that context. Whereas if you're just relying on earned income and earned like sales in an area where there's a majority of people that are poor, it may not be a great decision because literally the foot traffic may be slow. Literally, people just may not have enough money or volume. Because in distressed areas, if the area is distressed, that means there's often a low population rate. And a high rate of people moving out of the city. And so the people that you want to help in that city or in that community, you would then need donations and grants maybe fundraisers, benefits, galas and all that to supplement those revenue sources so that it can be a sustainable organization over time. And so that's the role of contacts. Those are the different kinds of social enterprise legal structures. There's something called, a tool called the Social Enterprise Law Tracker. It was created by a couple of students at NYU, and I believe NYU took it over. And so definitely Google that and see if you're just curious to learn more about social enterprise laws and reach out to me for a coaching session or discovery call if you're interested in like learning more about social enterprise laws and how like which one would be a great fit for you. But know that you can change it over time as you learn more about your organization. It's kind of like college. When you first go to college and you're a freshman, a lot of people change their majors from what they originally chose because just over time, you learn more about the world and you learn more about yourself. And so you just have a better understanding of what major suits you and your lifestyle and your future dreams. And it's the same thing in social entrepreneurship. When you start your organization, you are one particular version of yourself. By the time you get to year three, you're probably going to be a very different person, especially if you're doing this full time. And the version of you that created the organization, the version of you that's in year three, in year five, in year 10, you may have different goals and a different vision. And you may also have a better understanding. I would hope you would have a better understanding of your target beneficiaries and also of your business model. And so as you learn those things and as you grow and evolve, your choice of legal structure will grow and evolve as well. But I would say in my book, it just came up in my head. I don't have a script. I'm just, speaking from my heart. All right. So in my book, I have models of social impact on chapter 5. And so the models of social impact, I outlined a variety of different social impact models, but I also outlined in this chapter, I'm like looking at what page this is on. I outline about I believe it's at minimum, I believe it's 60 case studies in the whole book, but that's a lot of case studies right there. Look them up. Look up the case studies, see what you're interested in doing and how it relates. See what other people have done because these are great tools. It's a great tool to like see how other people have structured their social enterprises and why and how. And maybe you could even find that information on YouTube and do some digging. You could even call them up and ask. I find that people in general that are doing really well really love to teach people about how they can also do well. And so definitely like feel free to reach out to me. Definitely read my book, the chapter on legal structure, but also the chapter on social impact models because you'll gain a lot of insight about how to structure your organization and what's possible. And because there's so many different ways to design your social enterprise, and that's super cool. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Social Entrepreneurship Show. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also share it if you feel like it could be valuable to someone else. Thank you so much.